Under a Rock is an upcoming survival game developed and published by Nordic Trolls, a studio of only 5 people. It is currently in alpha development in Unreal Engine 5, so it's still in the pretty early stages, but it's set to combine the elements of PvE, crafting, building, and survival in a fully procedurally generated world. And even though the game is still early on, the developers have been dropping nuggets of great info in their Discord, so I've wrapped all of them up into this video just for your convenience, but keep in mind that these items are subject to change just because the game is so early on. And of course, if you enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more survival game content, but let's get right into it. Here is everything that we know about Under a Rock so far. So let's just do a quick overview of what Under a Rock is. Under a Rock is a procedural, open-world, cooperative survival crafting game set in a cute and colorful world. You'll explore a primitive but dangerous world where wildlife is oversized, Neanderthals still exist, and curses are real. It supports up to 10 players in co-op, and PvP is optional based on the server host. Okay, so let's talk about base building in Under a Rock. So in the game, there is no limit to how expansive and fleshed out a base can be, and the developers claim that performance will stay the same no matter what. The view distance is also infinite, so that means that there are no more invisible base parts when you are only a short distance away, which some other games do have that issue. Now, based on developer comments, the long-term goal of Under a Rock is to provide a huge number of choices, both in terms of assets and themes for base building. Now, there are 2 building modes in the game, Default and Advanced. Default is your basic building mode. You have the resources to build something and you build it. The Advanced mode allows you to place down blueprints before committing resources to the build. They call it a ghost building mode. The Forest and Grounded have a similar blueprint system, and I am personally a big fan of it. Under a Rock takes this a step further though and allows you to mark blueprint items as high priority. So if you're playing with a group, then everyone will easily know which structure to focus on getting materials for. By using the blueprints in advanced mode, you can also manually save blueprint layouts in addition to the autosaves that happen for them as well. So if your base somehow gets destroyed, you'll be able to restore the blueprints for what was destroyed and easily commit resources to rebuild it exactly as you had it. You can also use those saved blueprints and place them around the map. So if you have a blueprint for a campsite, let's say, you can easily go establish a campsite elsewhere by placing that blueprint down. Lastly, the developers say that there will be a lot of freedom when it comes to building. So you'll be able to build your base on the ground, in the trees, inside of caves, and even underwater. Speaking of caves, let's talk about the cave system in Under a Rock. Now, caves come in all different sizes, from small to massive biome-sized caves, and they're all procedurally generated, so you'll always have a unique experience exploring them. Caves are also seamlessly integrated, meaning no loading screens when entering or leaving them. However, this does mean that creatures can follow you in and out of caves, so always watch your back, as you never know what is lurking behind you. A lot of people love when a survival game has a pet system and a breeding system, and if you're one of those people, you'll be happy to know that Under a Rock fulfills both of those systems. There will be 2 types of pets in the game, tames and companions. Tames can be permanently killed and don't really care much for anyone but themselves. They might choose to fight, but they're most likely going to just run away, and they tend to stay close to the base and rarely wander off, and they can't be commanded. So they're not really a pet, but they're just kind of an animal that's pretty harmless that just kind of hangs around the base. Now, a newly bred pet is a tame, and tames can be traded to other players who can choose to keep them as tames or actually turn them into companions. So companions are the true pets in the game. They are loyal, can be used as mounts, they level up, and get access to abilities. And unlike tames, companions can be brought back to life if killed, and they respond to simple commands. Breeding is also another part of the pet system and can lead to interesting combinations in terms of looks and what type of abilities, strengths, and weaknesses that your companion possesses, including the tier of the pet. The amount of tames and companions that you have will depend entirely on your animal handling skill level, and I'm really excited to explore the pet system and to use the mounts to explore the procedural world. The rest and comfort system in the game has 3 elements: resting, comfort level, and rested bonus. Whereas being under the influence of the resting effect is necessary for receiving the rested bonus, the comfort level will actually decide both the duration and the bonuses received. So that's a pretty complicated way of saying that it seems pretty similar to Valheim's comfort system, if you guys are familiar with that. Based on your comfort level, the bonuses that you receive will either be shorter or longer based on how high your comfort level is. Now, certain constructions in your base, especially decorative items, will also add to your comfort level, and the types of bonuses that you can expect are increased health regen, increased stamina regen, increased XP gain, and much more. Now let's talk about the combat mechanics in Under a Rock. So in the game, it has 2 types of combat, close quarters and ranged. Both types of combat have 3 different attack types: a light attack, a heavy attack, and a charged attack. Now you can avoid attacks by using a shield, rolling out of the way, or even parrying with weapons. And yes, there will be a target lock option for those who want it. And the combat system is simple. It's basically just a hit or miss system with critical hit chances. Your attributes, skills, abilities, resistances, and gear will affect the damage that you take and receive. There are also different damage types like blunt, pierce, and slash, which have different effectiveness based on the armor that you're attacking. There are also status effects that can proc based on the type of damage you're doing. So for example, slash damage has a chance to cause the enemy to bleed, which would deal damage over time. The game also features a stability bar, so the more attacks you take, whether they're blocked or not, will decrease your stability bar. This essentially sounds like a stamina bar, because if your stability bar hits 0, you'll stagger and be unable to perform any actions. Smaller enemies are also able to take down larger enemies because of the Harass system. Essentially, if attacks are landed in rapid succession, it will do increased damage to your stability bar. So watch out for those flocks of dodos when you're playing. So let's talk about the bread and butter of what makes a survival game, the survival mechanics. So the survival mechanics in Under a Rock are pretty straightforward. The nice thing is though that you don't need to constantly eat and drink. The devs have said that hunger and dehydration do give penalties, but it will take days of in-game time to actually die from them. I'm also very happy to hear that food does not spoil in the game, and there's nothing worse than needing to eat something but realizing all of your food in your inventory has been spoiled. In addition to hunger and thirst, temperature, weather, poisoning, diseases, traps, fatigue, and curses will all play a role in how you survive in the world. Another thing that's very important in survival games is how you progress. So all actions in Under a Rock that use stamina will grant experience for a designated skill. So for example, just jumping will give you jumping skill experience. Crafting will give you crafting skill experience. Furthermore, the skill that receives the experience will also have a trickle-down effect to the attributes, which you can see on the screen right here. So for example, jumping will give a small amount of experience to vitality and a tiny amount to all the other attributes. The attributes will then in turn give a trickle-down effect to the resistances, also shown on the screen right now. So for example, vitality gives a small amount to decay resistance and a tiny amount to all the other resistances. On paper, this seems like it's more complicated than it actually is, but in practice, I'm pretty confident that this is going to make sense. And you'll also gain new recipes when discovering an item for the first time, allowing you to progress the actual items that you can craft in the game. So in these types of games, dying is just part of the journey, right? When you die in Under a Rock, your belt items are not dropped, but the rest of your inventory is, and they receive a hit to their durability. You will also take a hit to your experience level when you die, but the good news is that the game will make it easier to re-level back to where you were. And of course, you'll be able to go retrieve your items after dying as you can in most survival games. So let's talk about what everyone wants to know. When is this game coming out? So currently there is no release date yet for Under a Rock, as they're still really early in development. There will be a closed alpha and closed beta, but they haven't revealed details yet on when that will be. The current focus of the game is to be on PC, but the developers said that they have plans for Xbox Series X and PS5 on their roadmap. This is only being developed by 5 people, so I'm not sure how long this development will take, but if it's anything like Valheim, they're going to take their time making sure that the game is running well and performing well and is a lot of fun to play. So if you watch this whole video and you're really digging what you're hearing about the game, but obviously you can't really support it monetarily yet because it's so early in development, you might be wondering, how can I support this game right now? Well, here's a quote directly from the developers. The absolute best way to support us is by actively liking, upvoting, and sharing social media posts, especially on Twitter and Reddit. We are not planning on running crowdfunding campaigns or having an active Patreon going. Visibility is more important to us. So if you're interested in this game, please check out the description for links to their Discord, Twitter, Reddit, and website to help spread the word of the game. And also be sure to join our Discord community as well. We'll be taking a first look at this game when it drops and coordinating in-game events as well. So I hope you guys join in on that fun. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for watching the video. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. And if you want to see more survival gaming content, there's a lot more on the way. So definitely stick along for the ride. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.